welcome back.
Hello.
This is Jas
and Sher, and we are at number what now? 15?
15?
16?
I think it's 15.
15?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And you are listening to Giving Up the Ghost. And thanks again for tuning in to us. We're now at, how many likes on Facebook? 279? 275?
Well, let's make it 300 people.
Make it rain, people.
Come on.
Show us you love us.
Like
Ghost
us,
love.
like us.
Yeah, we're
please,
just...
please do. Share us. Share us with your friends and family.
Share with Share. Tell us all, we want to get around in that way.
Yeah.
You know, so
we like to get around.
Spread the love, not anything else.
That soul just sounded so bad, the whole
It so did.
Okay, Facebook-wise, people. Facebook-wise, yeah.
Or even Instagram.
Instagram-wise, us, yeah.
We're not here to offend. We're just here to amuse. And
yeah, well, we offend some people sometimes.
Probably.
Well, whatever. Yeah.
Anyway, we mean no harm.
No.
It's like, take no shit, but do no harm.
Take no shit, do no harm.
Do no harm,
and take no shit. I don't know.
Take a shit.
Take a shit. Take a shit. Heaven forbid.
Keep this shit up, and IKEA will not have us back.
No.
Just kidding.
They're nice.
So lots have happened. It always happens. We're having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
We're having some food and some cocktails on a Monday.
Mm-hmm.
It's day drinking, not day tripping.
Day drinking.
Excuse me.
And eating too.
Today we are going to gather and we are going to discuss the haunted MTC Theatre.
The Manitoba Theatre Centre.
However,
bum, bum, bum.
we are going to dismiss some of the things.
Some claims anyway.
Mm-hmm. I mean, don't get us wrong. This town is haunted as shit.
Yeah.
Like, everybody should be, like, looking at Winnipeg and be like, oh my God, we have
what
so
the
much
hell's wrong?
going on here. But a lot of historical significance. I love the historical part. Just
excellent.
Big thank you for a lot of stuff we find is from the Manitoba Historical Society.
They're excellent.
I would love to have one of them on, hey?
No kidding.
That'd be nice.
That would be really good.
That'd be excellent for sure.
I would like their job.
I know.
Oh,
hello.
Shit. Yeah, that'd be great.
And then that was funny when we went to Michaela's drumming session last week, and we're handing out our business cards to those ladies, and they're like, "Oh, you guys got a fun job.
You got the best job ever."
And it's just like,
it's not a job.
It's more like a hobby, and it doesn't really pay. And
damn it, but you know what?
But one
they
day,
liked it anyway, though.
We're like the little engine that could.
Yeah.
Choo choo. So I have a present for you, Sherry.
I have a present. You're gifting me.
I know. Well, this is a tongue-in-cheek present.
Uh-oh.
This is you're gonna love this.
Dun,
dun. This is where the elevator music comes in. Dun, dun, dun,
it's even wrapped in shit.
I know, right?
What the hell? I didn't wrap your gift earlier today.
That's fine. She made us T-shirts. We're gonna post pictures. A pictoire. Oh, so franche. Oh, so franche.
I don't like ripping stuff.
Voulez-vous?
Are we gonna speak French again? Parlez-vous d'alcoolisme?
I insult people when I try to speak French.
Oh, I know. So do I.
She's gonna love this.
I got it. Hot dog art.
Hot dog art. Woo! Here, okay, hold it. You can put it in front of your face.
Why are you always like drinking pictures of me when I'm looking like a dog butt?
Do you want it over your face or just beside your face?
How's this?
Sure. So, there we go. That was a good one. That was a good one. Is this acceptable? We can post that?
That's funny as shit.
Going back to episode, I'm not sure.
That was the
9?
funniest thing though ever, wasn't it?
Yeah, punctuation.
Hot dog heart. I was so confused about the whole hot dog heart thing.
We're doing our EVP session in white noise, and somebody connected with the spirit, and the spirit wanted a hot dog, so they said, "I want a hot dog art."
I'm like, me as my artist creativity thing.
That's
was
right.
going.
Her artist brain.
What the hell is hot dog art?
You can probably like place that on your wall. Do you like that?
I'm gonna place that on my wall.
I was legitimately going to go to the dollar store, get a canvas, and actually sketch that shit out myself. And I'm like,
and paint that thing.
And I'm like,
hot dog art.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Oh, he's awesome.
Isn't he awesome?
He is awesome. Hey, wait, look at.
What?
We got little weenie art.
Little weenie art. Little weenie hot dog art. What'd you call me? She slid off the rails.
I know I'm off the rails. I'm sorry. That's all right. Thank you.
You're clink, clink. Cheers,
clink.
cheers. Cheers.
Clink.
Monday day drinking.
Yay. And little weenies.
And little weenies too. Gotta have your little weenies, people. All right, so we keep running out of time and stuff, right? I mean, it doesn't really matter.
Way too much.
That's okay.
That's okay.
That means we like it.
Considering I've been here at noon, and what time is it now?
My research.
It's 4.
Is
oh
it?
My God.
Yeah, we got to be done by 5.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to go to parent, teacher, driver's ed, something or other.
God.
Oh well.
I just got to cook supper.
So with the MTC, which is the Royal Manitoba Theatre Centre,
And let's start with me. You know what?
let's go back to what. Okay, first off, Brian.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Brian.
Hi, Brian.
I think he still listens to us.
I hope so.
I hope we didn't scare him too much. Poor guy.
No, I don't think so.
And then Brian Langlotz, I think I always pronounce his last name wrong.
Sounds about right.
He's got a play called Letters. We had played an excerpt after the museum piece that we did.
Mm-hmm.
And highly recommend go check out his show that he's going to have at the Fringe Festival.
Mm-hmm.
We share love. We share love. And if you want us to tell of anything you got going on, we're here for you. That's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
So Brian had said, have you girls done the MTC? Have you known about the MTC?
Mm-hmm.
And we're like,
sort of put a little bug in our ear about it.
In our ear. And I mean, I kind of think I heard something years ago, but I didn't know the whole premise.
Right.
Do you want to explain how he explained what you're eating?
I'm trying a little weenie
okay. So I don't want to say basically, but how it goes down is apparently there was a caretaker that looked after the MTC.
Actually, they called it. Okay, I'm done.
I know.
The Dominion, right?
Right, but this is just how it comes down. They say there was a caretaker. He lived on the second floor in a suite with his crippled son named George. George wanted to be an actor. George loved the theater.
Yeah.
And then the theater burnt down.
Mm-hmm.
George in his wheelchair on the second floor died.
Could not be saved, right? Yeah.
And now, apparently, he haunts the theater.
Mm-hmm.
This is where we need that record effect. Just back that bus up.
Yeah.
So, from what we found in our deep dive of the... I have in front of me 27 pages of research. I shit you not. 27 pages of research. Research? And I've gained a list while I'm at it. Drunken list. That's what happens when you rabbit dive down a hole.
You get a lisp.
Get a lisp. We need some pap spear, remember?
Pap spear, I know. Oh my god.
So anyway, and no, it's wrong. Like I'm sure this theater is haunted. Like we'll tell some of the stories by somebody or something, but it ain't George.
It ain't George. I even googled. I told you I googled vital stats for Georges that died in the time that the biggest fire happened.
Now that's commitment, guys.
No Georges. There was one George that died. He was 5 years old.
Right.
But it happened a month before any fires happened in any theaters in Winnipeg. So, ain't no George there.
And plus, before it was the MTC, when it started in 1904, it was known as the Dominion. But apparently, there was never a fire at the Dominion.
No. Was there ever actually a fire at MTC?
No. The only fire that there ever was that killed somebody in a theater in the city was the Winnipeg Opera.
Which was a massive ass fire,
Here,
right?
let me put my food down on the plate again.
Put your wiener down there.
Put my wiener down. But I do have to give credit. We want to have a gentleman by the name of Matthew Comis. He writes all the books for Haunted Winnipeg, Ghost Stories, Heart of the Continent, Go Out and Get It Now, McNally Robinson, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
He does the walking tours in town as well. I personally have not. Just, I had wanted to go on some of his walking tours, just timing just never worked out.
Right.
Apparently he's infamous. He knows all his stuff. We want to get him in on an interview here because we're promoting some of his stuff coming up for Doors Open. So Matthew, contact us.
Come on.
But reading his information, he as well confirms what we researched. He did his research, and he as well said, he basically said that there is, though it may be known who is behind the strange occurrences at Winnipeg theaters, it seems that I don't know, how do you say? I don't want to read his stuff verbatim.
Verbatim, yeah. But it said, well, basically, there may be ideas about someone haunting the place. The idea is there, but questioning about whether or not George is who it is.
Right, because at that time, like, you wouldn't be able to put the wheelchair on the second floor.
No.
There was never a fire at the MTC.
No.
Matt confirms that as
and
well.
how did that story get started? I don't know, because it was even reported in the Winnipeg Free Press. Like, they even did a story on it themselves.
Well, recently, not from 1904 or whatever.
But even still, but they would still have to do research and shit, though.
Well,
I mean, like,
it makes for a good read, right?
Well, I guess so. I guess it does make for a good read, but I mean, really.
Right. But how it goes down is the MTC Theatre is actually comprised of 2 theaters. It was called, all my research here. There was 2 theaters that were knocked down. Like, first it was the Dominion. It was built in 1904. And then it was brought down, and then 2 other theaters were created. And then in 1960, the MTC was born in one of them. Now, what I wanted to spell, what did I say here? Okay, so, all right. Okay, so this was for Matt. He puts, the idea of a ghost moving locations is questionable, but the story about George has a larger problem. The Dominion Theatre never had a fire, and would not have been accessible to somebody in a wheelchair.
Yeah, that's what I was reading too, yeah.
The story has a dated Victorian feel to it, describing a poor little crippled boy who is pitied. So if George never existed, who's haunting the MTC?
I know, yeah.
But the funny thing was, the Winnipeg fire, the Winnipeg Opera House fire,
that was a horrible fire.
That was horrible.
It was really bad.
4 firefighters died. I found this deep dive. I found like a huge article by the real estate board. You know how they have the papers?
Did they do the excavation thing? The one you were looking at?
I think they did that too.
I know.
Yeah.
That was,
But they had an excellent two-part series in their paper that they printed in 2010 about that whole fire at the opera house. Now, the only thing I can figure out what I found, that I'm thinking that there's a connection to the Dominion Theatre and then the Winnipeg Opera fire, which was, I think, in 1926, because Walker, right, the one that owns the Walker Theatre, or owned the Walker Theatre.
Oh, the other?
Right.
Yeah.
He had an investment in the Winnipeg Opera Theatre, and he also had, him or his partner had an investment, I think it was his partner, had an investment in the Dominion Theatre. You see.
Not surprising, really.
So I think that's how signals kind of got crossed or something. Yeah.
Yeah, but even still, though, okay, barring that, see, when we couldn't find anything on MTC there, I thought, oh, crud balls.
So he supposedly died in a fire at the MTC Theatre. However, there was no fire ever there.
What's MTC Theatre?
The Manitoba Theatre Centre. That's on Market, right across from the Centennial. There's the Pantages.
Oh, yes, I know what that is.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's probably haunted by something.
But it ain't George.
It's not George.
No.
Well, maybe his name's George, but maybe that's not.
Could be, but it ain't no kid named George.
Who said this?
Everybody.
Many people. It was even actually written in the Winnipeg Free Press.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. We're joined by my friend Shannon from up the street.
That was a ding dong.
We're day drinking on a Monday. That was the ding dong.
Cheers.
Bell. Cheers. Clink, clink. Welcome to the Pod Lounge, Shannon.
Yay!
What are some of the... Okay, so they say that there are strange events, including unexplained childish laughter, the seats flipping up and down by themselves. Staff started to investigate the history of the Dominion, so they say. The investigation led to the staff to discover the story of the George. Bullshit.
Yeah, bullshit.
Bullshit.
Someone made it up just because they wanted to.
Because they were too lazy to investigate. I'm sorry. I shouldn't say that. I'm probably offending people or your dead relatives. But the Dominion Theatre had a caretaker who lived on site with his son, George. So I'm just kind of rereading this for Shannon. George loved the theatre and dreamed of becoming an actor, and he was also known for playing little pranks on visitors. So, though only a young boy, George was in poor health and required the use of a wheelchair. And tragically, there was a fire in the theatre. George was unable to escape the building and perished. Now, that's the whole legend.
That's the story.
That's the whole story. Spiel, yeah, the whole,
But they're saying there was no fire. Like now there's evidence that there wasn't a fire there.
Oh, look, there never was evidence. No.
See, back in the day, around the turn of the century, and then later, there's probably, I found 18 different theaters that came in, and only one had fire big enough to actually kill people. Like, the people died. 4 firefighters died, I believe, 1926, in what was called the Winnipeg Opera Theatre.
Yeah.
And that one, done.
It was a
Dunzo.
massive. That was a huge fire, yeah.
So that was the only time somebody actually died in a theater fire.
But there was no one else other than firefighters, so we couldn't find any
fire though. Maybe he did have an accident there and died. story?